Hi everyone! So, as you can see, there's little Weston, and this is going to be the story of his birth, and I am super pumped to tell you about it because it was one of the greatest experiences, and I don't want to sound like I'm knocking Ellie's birth, but if you've ever watched a previous video of mine where I talked about her birth, you would know that I faced a lot of trauma in recovery. Once I got to process everything, I had some pretty bad postpartum depression. So this was the most epic experience of my life, and definitely the most healing experience of my life, and I'm excited to tell you all about it. Okay, so if you watched my week 38 pregnancy vlog, I mentioned that we were going to go ahead and try the fully bulb induction. Actually, I don't think I ever said that we were going to go ahead. I think that I said I needed to gain the confidence before making a decision. So I went to my week 39 appointment and talked to the most amazing OB. She's fabulous. I talked to her and I asked the bunch of questions that were on my mind about, safety, and more or less I just wanted to make sure she was going to be there. That was my number one thing. It didn't matter how Weston was going to be born, but I just needed to make sure that it was going to be handled by somebody that I trusted 100%, which was her. So, everything was on board, ready to go for the induction, the fully bulb induction, starting on the 28th, which was a Sunday. I spent week 39 kind of relaxing. I went to my acupuncture appointment, and I'm so sorry I never updated after that. I just kind of, distanced myself from YouTube and focused on enjoying the last week of my pregnancy and the last week of Ellie being an only child. So I went to my acupuncture appointment. I had a few contractions at that appointment, but nothing of any significance. However, Saturday night leading into Sunday morning, I had really insane period cramps, to the point where I thought, maybe this is it. I had continued to lose my mucus plug. It was going on almost 2 weeks by the time that he was born. I was still losing it. No bloody show or anything like that, though. So Sunday morning we went into labor and delivery because I had pain that I just could not take anymore. I got up and had a shower at 2 in the morning to try to relieve some of the pain on my back. I had a lot of back pain and a lot of lower abdominal pain. It just felt like insane period cramps. I was checked for dilation at my 39-week appointment, and I was still 1 centimeter dilated. Nothing had changed. And so when we went into labor and delivery Sunday morning, I was still 1 centimeter dilated. So the pain that I was experiencing wasn't even effacing me. The effacement hadn't changed. The dilation hadn't changed. So I was a little bit discouraged, but I knew that just because you're 1 centimeter dilated at that point in time doesn't mean you will be in 5 minutes from now. So it was discouraging nonetheless. So we talked to the doctor who was going to do the induction that night. I really am not that big of a fan of his. I mean, he's not a bad doctor or anything, but I just, I think everybody has their preferences. If you work in an OB, if you go to an OB practice of 6 or 8 doctors like I do, I think you have your preferences on who you work with. So he was not, one of my top preferences, for the simple fact that he has his beliefs, and he didn't really believe on inducing a VBAC. Even, if it wasn't a VBAC, with a fully, he's never really done a whole lot of those. He told me he never seen success in them because the hospital doesn't use them very much. So I was being granted a huge exception, which is why I loved my OB from the beginning. So we went in and, we talked to him. He told us to come in after supper, right around 8 o'clock or so, and we would go from there. So we went in. I remember the weather was really overcast and it was pouring rain. And it was nice because it was peaceful to me. I could relax. I love weather like that. So I just tried to relax as much as possible, but I had a very big fear about how bad the Foley bulb would hurt. I just wanted to like get it in there and find out, can I deal with this pain, or am I gonna have to ask for an epidural 30 seconds after it being in? Because it's not something I've experienced before, and I wanted to hear other people's stories, good or bad. So I'm just kind of like basing my opinion off of these people. Some people said it was excellent, some people said it was horrible, so I just had a lot of fear. So we were there for about a couple of hours, and I will include pictures of when we were in labor and delivery, and I'll also be including my maternity photos as well. We went in about 8, and the doctor was running behind because he had some other emergency or something like that, and it was 10 o'clock before he came in to give me the Foley bulb. And I'm really scared to death at this point. So I'm laying there on the bed, and he inserts the speculum, and he says that he used a lot of lubricant, but holy fudge, it hurt so bad. I'm crying hysterically because my anatomy is weird. When you insert a speculum in me, it like scrapes the top of my vag, and it just hurts so bad. And if you don't do it slowly, then it really bothers me. It really hurts. And he did not do it slowly, so I'm, in tears. Plus, they don't let me put my feet up on the stirrups. They just have me open my legs on the bed, so I can't even get my hips spread wide enough to get it in there properly. So I'm begging him to stop so I can like readjust myself, which he does not stop. He got it in there, and I was like, look, I need to put my legs up on the stirrups. Can you take them out? Finally, they did, and I'm laying there. I feel a lot better, by the way, once I was able to get myself in the correct position. And he starts taking out the catheter and putting it inside of me. The catheter did not hurt going in, and it did not hurt when it was inflated. The problem was, I don't know if he used too much lubricant. I don't even know if you're supposed to use lubricant. Or I had a lot of my plug being gone at that point in time. He inflated it, and it would not stay in. And he tried more than once, and he usually doesn't try things more than once, I find. And once he reaches a certain point, he just gives up, which is what he did with me. Unfortunately, I tried for a VBAC for all of 10 minutes, and I'm not sad that this way went the way it went. I'm just sad that I put so much into it, and when he was finished, he wasn't willing to offer me anything else, even though my OB and I had discussed breaking my water, stripping my membranes, doing things like that. He was set in his mind this is not something that he felt comfortable doing, and he wouldn't offer me anything else. So I had a choice to make. He just told me that I needed to come in the next morning for a repeat C-section, and I completely lost it. I was devastated, in tears, because I wasn't being allowed to have other options. I didn't, I wasn't. With my OB, we had a whole list of things that we were going to try, and with him, this was it. He wasn't willing to try anything else, and I only had my OB for 24 hours, from Monday morning at 8 o'clock to Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. She was finished, and she wasn't going to be there for 2 weeks. So, we needed to get things rolling to make sure that she would be delivering on some point Monday to Tuesday. And so when he just wasn't willing to try anything else for me, I knew, like, right away, my fate was sealed, the decision was made. I'm not going to have another choice. So that kind of upset me. I had a moment of feeling like a failure because I tried so hard through this pregnancy. Like, if you told me something was going to help me have my VBAC, I did it. So when I was doing all of this stuff and I didn't get anything from it, I was a little disappointed. And more or less, I just felt like I was given up on by the doctor doing the induction. So I had a choice to make. I could go in for a repeat C-section, knowing exactly who I would get to deliver. I could go home and wait for labor to start and get whoever was on call, and I knew it was not going to be her because after Tuesday morning she was done. So I had to figure out which I felt comfortable with. So we decided to go in the morning and sit down and talk to my OB and express to her our concerns about our options. In the end, we decided for an elective repeat C-section, which I have absolutely no regrets on. If I hadn't known how wonderful it was going to be in the end, I would have totally not even bothered with all of this stuff that I tried to do. So if I hadn't known how wonderful the experience was going to be, I would have decided to have him right at 39 weeks. That's normally when they do the elective repeat C-sections. I do not regret my decision whatsoever, and a lot of people would have been like, why didn't you just wait? You'll see. The difference between last time and this time was that last time, once I was faced with a C-section, I was not scared. I walked to the OR like a trooper, just ready to get the show on the road and get this over with and meet our baby. This time, I was scared out of my mind. I didn't know how I was going to walk to the OR. I didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to allow them to do this to me, because, you know, quite honestly, I say that I was on death's door last time, and not just because of all the complications that happened in surgery, but because of the postpartum depression I had with Ellie, and I strongly believe it was all caused by the C-section and the recovery that I had to deal with. So I had so many emotions running through me, and to be quite honest with you, not one of them was excitement. Not a single emotion was excitement. It was just complete fear and chaos, and what am I doing? How can I allow them to do this to me again? So they were completely respectful of all of my wishes. I will say that the plan to have my birth plan read, because I had a very specific one, if you remember from my birth plan video, for a C-section. Mine was a little above and beyond. I was quite demanding because of everything that I had going wrong. I don't think anything was completely out of the question. It's just very non-routine for this hospital. Everything was totally against their policy, but nothing was like, no, we won't do that. So it worked when we bought the coffee and muffins. We did do that, and all the nurses were so thankful. We had people in the operating room thanking us. And I asked my doctor right before the C-section, I'm like, did you get your coffee? And I thought that she had assumed, I assumed that she had saw the coffee out on the desk, and she's like, yeah, I had my morning coffee. I'm like, no, we brought everybody coffee and muffins. I just wanted to make sure you got one before they were all taken. So even she was very appreciative. It's little things like that that I think really played the part in how well our section went. I had major problems right before surgery got started. I was just sobbing and crying once I was alone. I'm gonna start crying now. Just remembering that fear. And if you can remember, I said one of my fears was that I wasn't gonna make it out of surgery alive. I just had this overwhelming fear that something was gonna happen. And that's a very emotional thing to go through when you feel like that, and because the baby has to be born one way or the other, right? So It's just looking down the barrel of a gun is what I felt like. So I just had so much fear. And I got the spinal in okay. Everything went completely well up until I laid down on the table. I got everything in okay, laid down on the table, and they turn it to the left a little bit because when you lay flat on your back, the baby can compress the cord and other things like that. So they flipped it to the left a little bit. As soon as they did, I unfortunately went into a really bad SVT episode. And I got my first taste of medication that they use to correct your heart rate and blood pressure. Thankfully, it was not adenosine. It wasn't something that made me feel uncomfortable or anything, but I knew and I felt completely helpless laying there on that bed because normally I can get up and move around and attempt to do the corrections on my own to get rid of it, and I just felt completely helpless, and I knew, here we go, this is it, this is where I get adenosine. The anesthesiologist said, I'm going to give you something to correct your heart, and I said, what are you going to give me? He's like, some medication. I'm like, what's the name of the medication? Because I'm just trying to prepare myself. And he said, you know, whatever name it was. And at that point, my blood pressure really bottomed out, and I felt like I was going to pass out. So I just felt like I had to like give in and let go, and had to trust that I was going to be okay and that they were going to take care of me. So I let him give me the medication, but it's not like I really had a choice. So once he did, my heart rate started to slow down, only a small bit though, but my blood pressure came back up to a decent rate. And within the next, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or less, it happened again. And I felt very sick the next time that my blood pressure bottomed out. So I started to dry heave, and they brought over the bucket, and I didn't throw up or anything. And then I said, okay, I'm going to pass out. And I just remember looking at the nurse, and I said, am I going to die? Just because I just, you know, had that fear come over me again. Like, what am I doing laying here? They hadn't even cut me open yet. And just this look on her face, and she looked at the anesthesiologist, and the anesthesiologist spoke up. He's like, no, I got this, we're gonna be okay. So they corrected it again, and finally surgery was able to start, and I asked for cold face cloths, and they had to go out to the hall where my husband was. So, and Matt said, I knew when I saw them getting the face cloths something was up, because this is not something that they normally do. I felt better once the cold cloth was on my forehead and I could just relax, and Matthew came in and he held my hand. These now are happy tears. So I did tell my OB, I said, I don't want to know when you start because I'm scared I'll trigger another SVT episode. Everything was good. My blood pressure kept going in and out of an okay rate to a slightly lower, but never like it was before. I think one of the numbers was like 34 or something. The number on the right, if you're like a large number than a small number, I can't remember, but I saw the 34 and it freaked me out. So I heard her talking to the assistant that she was with and all the people in the room. I also heard her talking out at the desk before surgery, but during surgery she reminded everyone what the plan was, and then, it wasn't too long. We were laying there maybe about 10 minutes, and she told me, okay, I broke his water, so baby's gonna be here. It's time to drop the drape. And they did. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen the birth of my child. I didn't think that I would ever be one of those moms that got to see the birth of her child, but oh yeah, I did. And Matthew videotaped it, which is totally not allowed in the OR. We, again, asked for permission from the OB and the anesthesiologist, and everybody was on board, and we were just so blessed to have the birth the way that it went. So shortly after that, I got immediate skin-to-skin, and they left the umbilical cord long. So Matthew got to trim his cord, which is something that he never did with Ellie. That's something I think that's really special for him. We felt so included. So they did his APGARs, which I don't remember what they were. I don't think they told me, but I remember asking the doctor, I said, what do you think his APGARs were? And she said, oh, probably 9 and 9, because he was crying before he was even out all the way. And you can see in the video, he was born slowly, just like I asked, to make sure that he had no extra fluid in his lungs, which is usually what happens with a C-section baby, because they're removed so fast that they don't get their chest compressed very well to remove all the excess fluid. That's something that was special to me, that she respected and honored my wishes the way that she did. I have never felt so respected by somebody. And somebody went so far out of their way to make it a healing experience for me, because she knew what we went through with Ellie. She knew how horrible it was. And also, before surgery, she looked at my incision and noticed how completely disfigured the other OB made my scar. Like, your scar is supposed to heal like this, like line up perfectly, and mine was overlapping, making it really hard and really like not pretty at all. No. And she told me that she was going to completely fix that I wouldn't have that anymore. So she was going to go through the same incision, but she was going to cut a little more out of it to fix it. So the first 48 hours might be a little hellish, but in the end, it would make my recovery better. Also, she did stitches, no staples. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you will see I was up at a bed, walking around, not even in my bed hardly at all, within about 24 hours after surgery. I think with Ellie, they made me get up about 12 hours, which I think is more the norm. I'm not sure why they made me wait 24 hours. Maybe because of the heart issues that I had. I did have to rely on some narcotics this time around because the pain was pretty bad, but it wasn't completely unbearable. At 24 hours, I was going on short walks. I was able to get up and take care of myself, like clean myself up, you know, and when I tried to do that with Ellie, and I got up a few times, but for the most part, I just laid there in bed and slept, and I had other people take care of my baby because I physically could not. I changed most of his diapers. I think his father maybe changed one in the hospital, and like Matthew would go home and he had to move the bed downstairs, so I think that he went home and did that one day, or no, we were home when that happened. He left to go somewhere for like quite an amount of time, and I can't remember where he went. I think it was to do a few errands or something. But anyway, I told the nurses, I said, my husband's not here, so, you know, if I ring, it's because I need help to get the baby out of the bassinet. It was no problem for me to do that. I was like doing what a person would do when they have a vaginal delivery. I very much had the delivery like a vaginal birth, except he came out the sunroof, as I call it. Everything went so perfect except for the first 15 minutes of surgery, or before surgery rather. It was just completely healing and amazing to me. We also had my placenta encapsulated, and I got that. He was born Monday. morning, and I got it Wednesday morning, and I've been taking it ever since. I've had hardly any hormone drops, and the hormone drops that I do have, it's because I am so happy that I cry tears of joy all the time. I'm on a high that I cannot come down from, and still at like 9 days later, my life is so freaking perfect right now with these two beautiful kids, and I never thought that I would be living this life, and I am so completely blessed and honored, and I'm just a lucky lady, and yeah, I'm just so thankful. I'll do a 1 week postpartum update, and I'll get that up here pretty soon. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Shelter from the rain. You're the pills, then take away my pain. You're the light, then helps me find my way. Have nothing to say. In this world where nothing else is true, here I am, still tangled up in you. I'm still tangled up in you. Still tangled up in you. You're the fire that warms me when I'm cold. You're the hand I have to hold as I grow old. You're the shore when I am lost at sea. You're the only thing that I like about me. And in this world where nothing else is true, here I am, still tangled up in you. I'm still tangled up in you. How long has it been since this storyline began? And I hope it never ends and goes like this forever. In this world where nothing else is true, here I am, still tangled up in you. Tangled up in you. I'm still tangled up in you. I'm still tangled